Hey, my feel-good friends. So, I have a question for you. Do I sound the same on Instagram as I do on here? And I don't mean in any videos that I post or in those audiogram snippets that I create of the podcast episodes. No, I mean in my captions. Does the voice I use in my captions sound like me? I really hope that you're nodding your head yes right now. Or maybe I'm jumping ahead and you're new to the Feel Good Social podcast and you're like, oh, wait, this chick is on Instagram? Well, yeah. Yes, I am. My name is Kinsey and I'm at Feel Good Social on Instagram. And I'm just going to warn you right now that I do use a lot of exclamation points and jazz hand emojis. But I honestly try not to go too overboard with those. What can I say? I'm an excitable person, and it's my goal to get you excited about social media. My brand is all about feeling good about the time and effort that you're putting into marketing your business. So I believe it's my duty to slather my social posts with that zesty energy that I would like you to feel. So let me ask you this. Is it working? I sure hope so. I honestly get a lot of great feedback about my copy, which makes me really happy because I believe our captions are the most important part of our Instagram posts. The photos are amazing, sure. They can capture people's attention, evoke emotion, and tell a story in their own way. But your captions are really where you can connect with your audience. It's where the conversation gets started and the relationships build. But I do know from talking to so many of my clients and followers and listeners like you that writing captions can be hard. Not only structuring your captions in the right way that will make your audience want to keep reading or talking about the right topics that your readers will find intriguing, but mainly simply the writing part. I've had so many awesome conversations with people who have the most amazing personalities. But as soon as they sit down to type their social posts, it's like they turn on some sort of snore switch. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but you know what I'm talking about. Those boring posts that you read with a monotone in your head and you have to force your way through. I know that's not you in real life, my friend, and I don't want that to be your brand either. Which is why today I'm very excited, as always, to share my top tips for honing in on your brand voice and using it to write better captions more consistently so that you can build trust with your audience. I'll actually be walking you through the exact process that I take my Feel Good Social Map students through in the very first week of the program as we're creating our brand's social media strategies. So I know that this works. If you follow the steps and answer the questions that I pose today, I know that you'll be writing more consistent and personable captions in no time, my friend. And speaking of the Feel Good Social Map, I am very excited to announce that the doors are now open to enroll in our online social media course for June. With this 4-week program starting on June 1st, we'll be creating your social media brand strategy, which includes figuring out your brand's story and messaging, honing in on your brand vibe for both visuals and voice, plus outlining the logistics of your content plan so that you'll never again have to ask, what should I post today? Then we'll be mapping out all of your sales and campaigns for the entire month of July so that you can come at the summer season a-swingin'. We'll also be planning and scheduling all of your individual social posts so that by the time July actually rolls around, you won't have to worry about social media at all. And you can just focus on making those sweet, sweet summer sales. Sounds pretty nice, right? This is going to be an amazing opportunity for you to connect with other rad, down-to-earth entrepreneurs just like yourself and gain direct feedback from me so that you can ramp up for the summer and make up for this crazy, socially distant spring. I know that we have all been affected in one way or another, and I'm so ready to bring the energy, strategy, and accountability to this June round of the Feel Good Social Map so that we can truly make a difference for your business. Are you ready to make that happen with me? To sign up for our awesome course, head to feelgoodsocial.com/social map. Simply head to feelgoodsocial.com/social map for all the details and to sign up for our June session. I really hope to see you there, friend. All right, are you ready to hone in on your brand's voice so that you can write captions that actually build relationships with your readers instead of compelling them to simply skim and keep scrolling? Let's get into it. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Okay, so let's start by talking about what your brand's voice actually is and why it's so important to find it and stick to it on social. Now, in the Feel Good Social Map, I talk about this grander idea of your brand vibe a lot. And by brand vibe, I'm talking about the persona behind your brand. Who do you want your brand to be on social media? What should your brand look like, and what should it sound like? Especially on social, it's important to put some personality into your brand so that your audience can relate to you on a personal level and develop loyalty. And then once you hone in on your brand's vibe, it's also important to be consistent throughout all of your social posts so that your audience knows exactly what to expect from you and feels like they can trust you. In the Social Map course, I walk my students through this entire process of laying the foundation for their strategy by outlining their brand's story and values and researching their ideal audience so that they can easily choose the perfect visuals and voice for their brand. But that is a lot, and we don't really have time to get into all of that. So today I'm just going to focus on my best tips for figuring out the voice that you should be using on social media that will make your audience listen to you and trust you. Now, I just want to preface this by saying something that might be really obvious, but it still needs to be said. Not everyone's brand voice is going to sound the same. In fact, your own personal voice should not even be exactly the same as your brand's voice. I actually took a writing class with Donald Miller from StoryBrand the other week, and he said something that I absolutely loved and that has stuck with me. He said, we don't all just have one voice. We have happy voices, we have whiny voices, stern voices. We have the voice that we use with our children or pets, the voice that we use with our boss, the voice that we use with our friends and parents and family. We all have this rainbow of different voices that we use every day, and that's okay because we're all human and we all have a spectrum of personalities and emotions within us. But when it comes to your brand's voice, you need to hone in on just one and stick to it as much as possible. So, how do we decide what voice we should pick for our brand? Well, I encourage my Social Map students to think about their brand story and values, as well as their brand's relationship to their ideal client. And I think that that's where the magic really happens. I want you to go ahead and pause this podcast, find a notebook, and write down the answers to these questions, okay? If you were to describe your brand's personality, what would it be? Would it be happy-go-lucky, contemplative, reserved, or more professional? Who is your brand's personality? Write all of this down and it will give you more of an idea of what your brand's personality is and what voice you should use. Then I want you to ask, who are you to your ideal audience? Who is your brand to your ideal audience? Are you a friend or an educator? Are you more motherly or are you more of an authoritative figure? Think about that and write everything down, guys. And then I want you to ask, how do you want to make your audience feel? What does your brand do for your audience? What transformation do you help them make? And how do you want them to feel afterward? Are you trying to make them feel motivated or enlightened, maybe safe, or maybe just enthusiastic? That last one is me and my brand for sure. But it could be different for your brand, right? And remember, it doesn't necessarily need to feel 100% like you either. It needs to be focused on your audience and your brand. I deal with a lot of different brand voices all the time. I have to write captions for all of my monthly management clients and adapt my voice to fit their brands as I'm writing. And I also really love to review my one-on-one coaching clients' captions. So I have to consider their brand's voices as I help them revise. For example, I work with this amazing woman, Tanya, who is an executive coach for professional women. And I also work with this lovely lady, Sam, who owns a farmer's market delivery service. And their brand voices, while both very personable and likable, are very different. Tanya's voice is more soothing and contemplative and maybe commanding because she needs to come across as a genuine and trusted advisor to her audience. Whereas Sam's voice is very high energy and friendly and enthusiastic because she's motivating her people to live healthier lives and support their community. There's definitely some crossover within their brand's voices depending on what topic they're discussing. But in general, their vibe is very different because their brand's relationship to their audience and the topics that they discuss are very different. I love helping my social map students hone in on each of their individual brand voices. So if you would like my help with that and a whole lot more, definitely check out our course at feelgoodsocial.com/social map. Again, the doors are open right now for you to enroll in the June session. So if you want to join now, you'll be on your way to social media clarity and success in no time, my friend. Now that I've given you an idea for how you can hone in on your brand's voice, I'd like to share some general tips for writing captions that will help you no matter what voice you're using. Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you answered with a big hell yes, I would love to ask you to snap a screenshot and share it to Instagram so all your biz buddies can hear it too. And don't forget to tag us at feelgoodsocial so we can spread the love right back to you. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. Let's dive back in. I'd like to share some general tips for writing captions that will help you no matter what voice you're using. The first and most important tip that I can share is to write as if you're speaking to another person. Social media is not the place to use your professional email voice, friends. It's okay if you want to keep your captions sounding somewhat professional, but I never want them to sound dry, okay? Ain't nobody gonna slow their scroll to read that. Don't be afraid to add some professional sass or spunk. That is so much more interesting, and it will keep your reader reading as well as make them remember and like you. And one way that I like to do this is to read my captions out loud and read them again. I read all of my captions out loud multiple times whenever I'm writing because I want to make sure that it's sounding as personable as possible. And I know it can be a little difficult sometimes to write as if you're speaking. I mean, how the heck can you inflict different tones or add sarcasm to a paragraph of text? Well, I have a few tricks to put up your sleeves. Firstly, I just want to get this straight. Normal rules don't apply here. All of those old language and grammatical rules that we were taught in school are not upheld all the time when we're speaking, and they sure as hell don't need to be upheld in your social media captions, okay? Now, does that mean that you want to throw all of the rules out the window? No. Your captions still need to be legible and understandable. But by bending a few of the rules here and there, you can make your captions feel more relatable and digestible. So let's talk about how to do this. The first thing I want to chat about is how to adjust the cadence of your captions to make them more digestible for your readers. You know how it is on Instagram. Whenever you write a longish caption and it turns into this huge, overwhelming block of text that nobody wants to read, we need to add paragraph breaks or line breaks to our captions to make our posts feel less overwhelming and give our readers the chance to take a breath. So one way to do this is what I just mentioned with the line breaks. Every 1 to 3 sentences, depending on how long they are, add a completely blank line to break up your text and give your audience a break. Now, on Instagram, this can be a little annoying and difficult sometimes, and I'll be honest, it is kind of hard to explain this on a podcast. So if you're trying to add line breaks to your captions and it's not working, send me a message on Instagram. I'm at feelgoodsocial, and I will definitely try to help you out, my friend, because it happens to the best of us. I also like to use ellipses, the ... at the end of a sentence where I'm going to continue my thought, but I want to indicate to my reader that it's okay to pause, take a breath, and think about whatever I just said. Now, another way to add personality to your captions is to use interjections and asides. These are those things that you may normally say out loud, but you wouldn't normally write. So this could mean including filler words and phrases like or just to be a little goofy and make them feel more human. I wrote a post a while back to introduce myself to my audience, and it started with, "Hi, my name is Kinsey, and I like to party, social media marketing. That's what I like." I wanted to be goofy and play off that hot rod quote because, well, I'm a dork, and I also figured it might be more memorable that way. You can also use parentheses in your captions to add a little side note or side tangent, like we would if our thoughts kind of drifted a little, like when we're speaking out loud. Now, finally, it is really important to add that emotion and tone to your captions on social media. But I know that this can be a little tough to accomplish sometimes. So one of my favorite ways is to use slang language in my posts. And while it's not always proper English, I think that slang is a wonderful indication of who the person is behind the caption, and it helps you relate to your readers more. A lot of slang also automatically has a tone assigned to it in our heads. So it's an easy way to make sure your readers are reading into your captions correctly. And finally, if all else fails, or simply to make it more fun, slap some emojis into your captions. Especially because of Instagram's annoying character limit, emojis are a super fun way to indicate your feelings and body language in one simple swoop. I mean, emojis are the talking with your hands of Instagram. And if you are a hands talker like me, use them loud and proud, my friend. But at the same time, do be aware of your emoji usage and make sure that it makes sense and that it's not overwhelming. Well, there you have it, my friends. I hope you're walking away from this episode with some actionable ideas about how you can hone in on your perfect brand voice and add personality to your captions. And don't forget, if you're interested in diving even deeper into this subject with me, check out our Feel Good Social Map online course. In just 4 short weeks, I'll guide you down the straightforward path to clarifying your brand's social media strategy, planning all of your summer sales and campaigns, and batch planning all of your social media posts for July in just one easy sitting. And you'll accomplish all of that with a cool crew of other down-to-earth entrepreneurs just like yourself and my enthusiastic cheerleading to boost your energy and make it super fun. Just head to feelgoodsocial.com/social map for all the nerdy details about this awesome program. Have a wonderful week, my friend. I'll catch you next Thursday. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.